What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and welcome to episode number 11 of our First Down Training show. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest scams in the college football recruiting world that is costing parents thousands of dollars every single year. Then, we're going to get into some current events. We're going to be talking about the Deebo Samuel trade to Washington, Will Howard's performance at the NFL Combine, and why it's not as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. And then, we're going to be answering 3 of your guys' questions from a previous episode. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's get started. All right, so let's talk about recruiting services. There are a lot of recruiting services out there that will promote their, products and what they can offer to parents and offer to recruits across the country with helping them playing college football. And honestly, guys, it's one of the biggest scams out there, in my personal opinion, just because I feel like a lot of these recruiting services will take anybody and everybody on their service, which actually makes them lose credibility in the college coaching world. And that's what we're going to be discussing today primarily. So first things first, let me put myself in your guys' shoes. Let's say I'm a high school athlete. Let's say I'm a freshman in high school and I have dreams and aspirations of playing college football. Now that seems like a daunting task right away. You want to play college football. You're a freshman. You have 4 years to make a name for yourself. You want to play varsity football as soon as possible. And then all of a sudden, maybe you go to a camp, maybe you fill out a form online, and then you get a call from this guy. I refer to these people as street agents or recruiting agents, but you get a call from somebody and they are promising you all of these things. Hey, if you sign up for our service, we are well connected to a bunch of different college coaches. You can make a profile, upload your height and weight, upload your film. College coaches are going to see your profile, and we kind of serve as the middleman connecting players and coaches. Now, if you don't know anything about the college football recruiting world, you've never been through it, your parents have never been through it, you might start to think wow, that's what a deal. I would love to do that. But the issue is, guys, that if it's too good to be true, most of the time it is, right? So let's talk about that. Number one, if you don't have varsity film, there is nothing I can do for you. There is nothing a recruiting agent can do for you. There is nothing a service can do for you to help you get recruited to a college program. That's just the way it is, you guys. You need varsity film. Now, some of you might be sitting there thinking, well, Coach, I know this 7th grader or this 8th grader who doesn't have varsity film, and he has these offers. Now, those might be offers, but it's a verbal offer. It really doesn't mean anything, and it's based on potential. Hey, we think you might be really good, so we're going to give you this verbal offer that doesn't mean anything, that will probably go away in a couple years. So if you do end up being really good, we can be like, hey, remember, we were the first ones to offer you. And so it gives kind of that emotional connection to a recruit if it pans out. But if it doesn't pan out, they're not on the hook because it is verbal. And legally, you cannot receive a committable scholarship offer, aka a real offer, until the summer before your junior year of high school. So anything you see before that, before a recruit's in 11th grade, it's all BS. So if you're a freshman or an 8th grader and you're getting called by these recruiting services, and there's a real popular one called NCSA, I'm not talking about them specifically, but these are some of the practices that I've heard secondhand that they do. If you get a call from these, recruiting agencies and they're promising you all these things, but you don't have any varsity film, it's really, honestly, in my opinion, just a cash grab for these companies because they will take anybody and everybody. Recruiting is a game built on credibility. How most athletes get recruited is through their high school head coach. So let's say you go to a high school and your head coach has a tradition of putting people on to the next level, right? Last year, he had 10 guys go D1. The year before that, he had 5 guys. He gets people to D2s, whatever. That guy's going to be really well connected. He knows a lot of college coaches. College coaches come to him because he has a tradition of giving them successful players, and will ask, hey, do you have any players for us? Do you recommend any guys? It's a very, very tight-knit, I guess you could say, community or tight-knit world. So when they go to him, they trust him. He has credibility. These services do not have credibility because they take anybody and everybody. You guys have to understand that, right? Let's say me, I'm a quarterback and wide receiver trainer. I work with quarterbacks and wide receivers all across the country. I live in Southern California, and I train guys in Southern California, specifically on a weekly basis, right? Now, not all of them are the greatest. Some of them are good. Some of them aren't that good. Some of them are just starting out. Now, if a college coach were to come to me and say, hey, do you have any quarterbacks that you recommend? And I turn to the 50 quarterbacks that I train and say, hey guys, whoever wants to pay me $5,000 more this month, I'll put you onto this college coach. So let's say the person who pays me $5,000 isn't very good, and I refer him to that college coach, and that college coach comes out to a workout, he scouts him, and he's like, man, this guy isn't very good. Why would this guy refer me this player? He's never going to come back to me and ask me for a referral because I wasted his time. That's what these recruiting services are essentially doing on a massive scale. You're paying a fee to be on their website so coaches can look at you. Coaches don't waste their time. Their time is extremely valuable. They're not going to siphon through 2,000, 3,000 different athletes trying to find out who's a good college football player. They're going to go to their guys that they trust, which are high school head coaches and maybe regional recruiting guys that are not getting paid to tell them, hey, these are the players that you should look for, and that's who they are going to scout. College coaches are the most talented scouts in the entire world, and they know what to look for with talent. They're not going to be taking some word of somebody they don't know who is clearly getting paid to sign up for their recruiting service. So I just think that a lot of times it's complete BS. I think a lot of times that these services want you to sign up and you don't have actually any film, you don't have anything to show for what you were like for being a good high school football player. So why would coaches waste your time? Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking, and this brings me to the second part of the scam. So some of you are probably thinking, well, coach, I signed up for this recruiting service and I'm getting a bunch of emails inviting me to camps. It must be working. Guys, you'd be naive to think that these companies and these universities don't have some type of agreement that exchanges information. A lot of these smaller colleges that you've never heard of, the D3s, the D2s, whatever, they rely on their summer camps to bring in a ton of income for the school, right? So let's say it's a $200 summer camp, and let's say they get 100 people to sign up. That's $20,000 right there. That's a good amount of money that they could pay their staff, they could buy X, they could buy Y. So you guys have to understand that when you get these invites to camps via email from this recruiting service that you use, it's not because they saw you, it's because your email went to an email list that they could send it out to. I had a parent tell me this the other day, and I thought this was pretty interesting. If you get an email inviting you to a camp, and at the bottom of the email, it says you can unsubscribe to this email, that means that it was email marketing, not a personal invite. And that's what a lot of you people are getting from these recruiting services. So just be aware of that, you guys. Now, are all recruiting services and all recruiting agencies bad? I wouldn't say they're all bad. I've heard of some recruiting agencies and some recruiting services where, they will essentially only take a specific talent level kid because that gives them credibility. They probably have connections to college coaches. They maybe know 50 college coaches that, follow them, listen to them, take their advice, right? And for you to be one of their guys, you may have to pay a fee, but generally they're going to check you out. They're going to look at your film. Like, okay, does he have good film? What's his height and weight? Do I want my name attached to that athlete? And if there's a guy who only has maybe 20 players and they're all really solid players and he wants you to be one of his players, then maybe trust that guy because it doesn't seem like he's just in it for the check. Yes, everybody needs to make money. It's business, it's capitalism. I'm all for that. But what I will say is you need to make sure that it's not just a company taking anybody and everybody because there is no credibility in the recruiting world for somebody who just will sign up dudes, put them on, it doesn't work that way. They have no connections with college coaches. An interesting thing you should look up on YouTube, look up James Franklin, coach of Penn State, talking about recruiting services. And he's talking about these guys. And you know what he says? He says, we get the emails, it goes right in the trash because they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every year on their own recruiting. So you need to understand that is what these college coaches view these guys as. They're not well respected, and they're not respected, especially at a higher D1 level. So parents every year are fishing out thousands for these services. I recommend that you don't. Now, you might be asking me, what should you do? Because you might be just completely lost. You're like, I don't even know how to promote myself. I don't even know how to get recruited. What do? What if you go to a small school where your high school head coach isn't well connected to different college coaches? What are you supposed to do in that situation? Well, I'll tell you. I would say start promoting yourself on social media. This is how I would go about it. If I was an athlete at a small school, what I would do is I would start by making an X account. So X, formerly known as Twitter, right now owned by Elon Musk. Think what you want about Elon, but I feel like it's a platform where college coaches use it every single day for recruiting purposes. If you don't like X and you don't like Elon, fine, but at the end of the day, you got to go where your customer is, right? This is why I'm making a video on YouTube, because I know a lot of people who watch me and who watch my stuff are high school aged athletes, middle school athletes, and what are they always on? They're always on YouTube. So I'm going to put this video on YouTube. I'm not going to go put it on, some political website where it's a bunch of 40 and 50-year-old people because nobody would watch it. You know what I mean? So like on social media, you need to go where your customer is, which is a college coach. And that's unfortunately is X or unfortunately is X. And you can keep it super professional. The thing about these social media platforms, a lot of parents, when I talk about X, they're always like, well, I'm worried about my kid getting bullied. I'm worried about him seeing all these bad things. Guys, the algorithm shows you what you are constantly interacting with. So if you're interacting with videos of people like dying or something like that, like, yeah, it's going to pop up in your feed. I've gone down that rabbit hole. You click on one video, and then every single video is somebody getting beat up or whatever. But if you just search strictly football, you're following football coaches, you're following football accounts, all you're going to see is football. And you don't even have to use it. You just need to use it for professional purposes. Have some discipline with the app. So I would make an X account. Number one, what I would do is I'd put on the profile, a profile picture, you play in some football environment. Graduating class, your position, the school that you attend, and the state that you live in, right? So I'd have all that information right there. If you have varsity film, I would include a link to your varsity film and pin that as the first tweet that people see when they go to your account. So that's number one, right? So now you have the account. Then what I would do is I would start following different college coaches. I would start following them, messaging them. You don't even need to message them like, hey, watch my film, hey, recruit me. Ask them short, simple questions. Ask them, hey, coach, I was wondering if you have any camps coming up that I could go attend. Because if you're at a small school, you need to go to different camps. And they're going to send you the same camp that you would have been invited to if you would have paid thousands of dollars for some recruiting service. And then again, that's a line of communication. You go to that camp, you thank the coach for his time, you get some varsity film the next year, that's a contact you could send it to. You have to play the game, and you have to play the coaching and network, the connection and networking game with these coaches. Okay, so that's what I'd recommend. Now, how do you find college coaches? We developed a website, you guys, where we have a list of over 500 different college coaches on there with their X profiles, so you can easily follow them, interact with them, etc. So if you guys would like that list, just post in the comment section below, and I'd be happy to send you over a link to that website, okay? So guys, we're going to get into some current events now. We're going to talk about Will Howard, obviously performing at the Combine, and then we're going to be talking about Debo getting traded to Washington. But before we get into that, you guys, if you are a QB or wide receiver watching this video, and you would like to train with myself and my staff of coaches this offseason, we are going to be traveling out to 10 more states across the entire U.S. for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. So if you guys go to the very first link in the description below of this video, that's where you can sign up and get more information. Next up on our camp tour, we'll be coming out to Las Vegas, Nevada. Then we'll be heading out to Seattle, Washington. Both of those camps, though, you guys, are completely sold out. Then we'll be heading out to Chicago, Illinois, Newark, New Jersey, Birmingham, Alabama, Houston, Texas, Boston, Massachusetts, Columbus, Ohio, Boise, Idaho, and finishing up our tour in Los Angeles, California. So guys, if you want to sign up all those camps that we listed, Chicago all the way to LA, we only have about 6 to 8 spots remaining, so make sure you take advantage of that. You guys go to that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you there. We limit spots just so every athlete can get individualized coaching and individualized reps. If we have 1 million people out there, it's going to be kind of tough for us to coach everybody, so that's why we do that. Because we hope we could see you there. Again, very first link in that description below. So let's talk about Will Howard at the NFL Combine. So Shedeur Sanders, obviously I clapped back at him, or clapped back at all the reporters who were saying like, oh, Will Howard's a bust, he didn't perform well. We talked about this on an episode last week, you guys, how Shedeur Sanders elected to not throw at the NFL Combine. And I was saying it was a great move. I thought it was a great idea because it's like, why would you throw with a bunch of receivers that you don't have chemistry with? This is the first time that you've ever thrown with them. You don't know how they get in and out of breaks. You're maybe a little bit nervous because it's a combine. It makes absolutely no sense. I personally think Will Howard should not have thrown. What more does he have to prove? He won a national championship. He should perform, the 40, the broad jump, all the physical traits, but he's a big dude. He's got good size. I would just have done the interviews with the teams and show that he has the IQ to be able to play the position. If they were me, again, it's not me. I know he probably wanted to throw just to impress and show people that he did have like NFL arm talent, but again, it can work against you guys. You're better off throwing at the pro day. Throw at the pro day, because at the pro day, there's a bunch of receivers that you've worked with, you have chemistry, and you could throw and showcase your timing. And honestly, I didn't think Will Howard did that bad. He missed some throws, but the thing was he was throwing the ball on time. They don't want you to throw the ball late at the NFL Combine. Like if you're throwing that deep corner route, you're not throwing it when he's already out of the break. You're throwing it right as he's breaking so he could go run it down. It's guys, so don't read too much into that. It's not a big deal that he didn't throw well at the combine. I don't like everybody saying that, oh, he's a bust just because he didn't throw good at the combine. It's the combine. Wait for his pro day. And his pro day is going to show everybody what he can do because those are receivers that he actually has chemistry with. Okay, so that's my 2 cents on that. Now, let's talk about Deebo Samuel being traded to Washington. I think it's a good landing spot for him. I mean, I think, you got Jaden Daniels, you got Terry McLaurin, so Deebo's not going to be a wide receiver one. It's still going to be Scary Terry. But honestly, guys, I think it's a great spot for Deebo. I think Deebo in that offense with Cliff Kingsbury is going to be dangerous. Now, the thing is, Deebo's got to stay healthy, and Deebo's got to get in shape. I've seen some pictures of him where he doesn't look like he's in the greatest shape, but here's the thing, guys, they're NFL athletes, right? Have some players let themselves go, like a Kelvin Benjamin or like a Eddie Lacy. Yes, I don't think Deebo is that way. Sometimes just genetically, you may blow up to a certain weight in the offseason, or if you're not working out, just genetically. Like a perfect example, I don't know if you guys follow UFC at all, but there's a fighter called Paddy Pimblett, or Paddy the Baddy is his name. And if you see him when he's outside of training camp, the dude's fat. And then when he's walking out to the cage for a fight, he's shredded, six-pack, jacked out of his mind. It's just a genetics thing, you guys. So he probably hadn't been training. He's probably not been eating the greatest. But I honestly think if he takes this offseason serious, you put him in that offense with Cliff Kingsbury, that's a very, very dangerous weapon for Jaden Daniels. And there is a lot that they can do with that offense. I think people are underestimating what that offense did this year and now what they can do. And Cliff Kingsbury has got a quarterback that he's gelling with and that is performing well. And they made a deep playoff run, so they have all the confidence in the world. So I love that trade for Washington. I think they got a bargain too. I think it was like a 3rd or 5th round pick they got for Deebo, which is crazy. Deebo Samuel is one of the best receivers in the game when he is on point. So excited to see it. I think he's going to get in shape, and I think he will be just fine. All right, so guys, we're going to get into some of your questions now. So we're going to be going over 3 questions that you guys have left on past videos. So we appreciate all the support. Seriously, you guys. If you guys also have questions that you want to be featured on the show, don't hesitate, guys. Leave your questions in the comment section below. I answer every question, read every question, and we will feature them on our next episode of our First Down Training show. So guys, post your comments in the comment section below. Post your questions in the comment section below. And again, we'd love to feature you. We really, really appreciate all of the support. So question number 1 is from Gabriel Garcia. He says he appreciates watching the videos. I appreciate that, man. Seriously, thank you for the support. But he asks, would I need a trainer to be a good enough wide receiver? So the key here with a trainer, you guys, and this is just my 2 cents for you, you don't need a trainer to be a good football player. Does a good trainer absolutely help? Yes. Or does a trainer absolutely help? Yes. If he's good and if he knows what he's doing. There are a ton of trainers out there. People think they can, and and I'm not trying to knock anybody's business. I'm not trying to knock how anybody is, but people think that just because they played football, that gives them, credibility to be able to teach football. And maybe it does on a certain level. There are a lot of trainers that played at a much higher level of football than I ever played, right? But I feel at times I can outcoach them. My athletes can outperform their athletes, not because of a credibility standpoint between me and them. It's because I feel I do a good job explaining the reason why and making sure my athletes understand they need to do certain movements and certain things. So that's what I would say when looking for a trainer. There might be 4 trainers in your area, and I would go try them all. And if you like one, you don't maybe have to try the rest. But what I would try to do is figure out if they can answer the reason why. So you go to trainer number 1 and he puts you through a whole workout doing drills and he's like, okay, do this. It's like, well, why? How does that help me? I just do it. Not a trainer, not a guy who's going to teach you the game and get you better. You go to coach number 2 and you're doing a drill and it's okay, what does this help me with? How am I doing this? And he explains it really well. That's a trainer that might be able to help you. So I would say it's not the be-all, end-all to have a trainer. You can get a lot of information online nowadays, especially with the content that we put out and the content that we have on our website. But trainer can absolutely help you. So I hope that helps, man. Appreciate you tuning in the videos. I appreciate you asking. So now, next question is from QB Goals. So he's pretty much asking if you're he's an undersized quarterback, so a shorter quarterback. I was one of those. Advice for people who lack confidence and lack physical traits. So if you're a shorter guy and you don't have confidence, the key with if you're going to be a shorter player, you got to honestly have a little swagger to you. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you look at all you're a quarterback, right? So you look at all the short quarterbacks Kyler Murray, Johnny Manziel, obviously didn't pan out in the pros, but In college, that guy was a dude. You look at all the undersized at Baker Mayfield, they all have a little attitude to themselves. You know what I mean? They have a confidence. They carry themselves that way. And that honestly is just from, like, I would say the work that they've been putting in and the things that they're telling themselves, right? I think constantly for so long with shorter guys, they're told you can't do it, you're too short, you're too short. And I think you honestly have to take that as a challenge. Like, no, I'm going to prove those guys wrong. And how you prove those guys wrong is putting in the effort and putting in the time and putting in the work. I was told forever that I was too small to play quarterback, right? But I never let it bother me. You got to almost have these like blinkers on, and you just got to be bulletproof to what other people are saying. You just got to be focused on, all right, if I'm undersized, I need to be good at throwing on the run, pocket movement, I need a quick release, and I got to be able to read a defense. And if you can be the best at all those areas, you can make up for a lack of size. But you got to put in the time and you got to put in the effort. We're all given the same 24 hours every single day. So if you can carve out 3 to 4 hours dedicated to your game and you start stacking days, your confidence is going to grow because you're going to see that, okay, I'm outperforming this guy, I'm outperforming that guy. Maybe he's a little bigger than me, so what? I can still outperform him on the field. So hope that makes sense, dude. Appreciate you asking that. Appreciate the support of the page. Now, question number 3 from Captain 3513_M6L. So he's starting as a sophomore, essentially, is what he's saying with this question. And how can you get an offer at a small school if you're starting as a sophomore? So I think that's a great spot. If you're at a small school, you definitely need to play varsity as soon as possible. But remember earlier in this episode, I talked about that strategy with Twitter and X and how you can use it to promote yourself. I pretty much answered that question earlier on in this video. I didn't know we were going over that question until now. So yeah, dude, that strategy with X is what I would do. You need dominant varsity film. If you're at a smaller school, chances are the competition that you're playing probably isn't going to be as high. So you need to be dominant. You need to be very, very good. You need to be showcased that you can be a college level player on film and then get out to camps because coaches want to see you with their own eyes. Coaches aren't idiots. If they see film and you're playing a bunch of bums, they're going to be like, what's a bunch of bums? Like, how good is he really? I mean, he looks good, but we need to see him in person. And then if you could show out in person, that can get you some real recruiting attention. So hope that helps, man. Appreciate you asking that. Sorry we answered that earlier on in the video, but I hope that answers your question. I appreciate, again, you tuning in. All right, fellas, guys, appreciate you tuning in to episode number 11 of our First Down Training Show. We'll be back at it tomorrow, but I appreciate y'all tuning in. Hope this gave you some value, and I will see you next time.